If you were planning a trip to South Africa anytime soon, especially after Ghana signed that visa-free agreement allowing you to stay up to 90 days, what I'm about to tell you might just change your mind, because beyond the beautiful cities and opportunities, there's a story that keeps repeating itself, one that many people do not talk about enough. My name is Ivy Hollis, and I use my voice to tell stories that you care about. Let's get into it. Xenophobia. To understand what's happening now, we have to take you back to 1994. That was when apartheid ended in South Africa, and it became a beacon of hope. People from across different countries in Africa traveled there in search of jobs, safety, and the very reasons why people jump back, right? But not long after that, tensions began to rise because foreign nationals started facing hostility, and they were blamed for unemployment, crime, pressure on housing, and all this continued until everything exploded in May of 2008. A mob started in Alexandra, and it quickly spread across parts of the country. These mobs attacked Zimbabweans, Malawians, Mozambicans, homes were looted, people were beaten, communities were driven out, and at least 44 people were in that violence. Around 20,000 of those people were also displaced in a place called Gauteng alone. And then in 2015, violence broke out again, but this time in a place called Durban. This time it was after a Zulu king, Goodwill Zwelithini, made remarks that said that foreigners should
pack their bags.
After he said this, attacks began again. 5 people were dozens were injured, hundreds fled, and about 2,400 refugees ended up in temporary camps. And by 2017, it became a pattern, right? In Gauteng, Johannesburg, Pretoria, mobs targeted foreign-owned homes and businesses. They looted the shops. People were displaced. At that time in 2017, there were no confirmed deaths, but then the message was the same. In 2019 in Durban, there was another wave of attacks. Migrants from countries like Malawi and DRC were targeted. Some of them were many were injured. Hundreds lost their homes, their sources of income, their livelihoods. And every time it follows the same script. There's tension, rhetoric, and then violence. So why does this keep happening? Well, at the center of it all, the locals blame foreign nationals for taking up their space, for unemployment, for inequality, for the struggles that they face in South Africa. They say they are stealing their jobs, they are increasing crime, and they're just taking up their space. Because of all of this, groups like Operation Dudula have been formed around this idea. They openly campaign against undocumented migrants, and they organize protests, which sometimes turn violent. So, where does Ghana stand in all of this? Well, you should know that Ghanaians are not the largest group that have been affected by xenophobic attacks in South Africa, but it doesn't mean that we haven't faced harassment. Some Ghanaians have. Some Ghanaians have had their lives disrupted due to the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. But as of 2026, we have no confirmed of any Ghanaian in xenophobic attacks in South Africa. But recently, there was a story about a Ghanaian woman who was assaulted, and it was in the news, and that is why this conversation has come up again. Just yesterday, the 28th of April, Ghana's High Commission in Pretoria urged Ghanaians to prioritize their safety as a group known as the March Organization prepared to march to the South African presidency. So Ghanaian shop owners were told to close their businesses for the day and avoid protest areas. Other nationals were also cautioned not to join in any public gatherings that could escalate into confrontations. So this is the current reality. Well, we won't also say that the South African government is folding their arms on the matter, but the challenge is prosecutions are rare. After previous attacks, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa even apologized to Ghana and other countries in 2019. He promised accountability, and they introduced a national plan against xenophobia. But victims are afraid to speak up. So the cycle continues, and now with the advancements of social media, it's even more intense. So here we are. On one hand, Ghana and South Africa are strengthening their ties by making travel easier, and on the other hand, there's a history of violence against people like us. It has repeated itself. 2008, 2015, 2017, 2019, and now in 2026. So If you're planning that trip, this is not to scare you. I just want to inform you because South Africa is really a land of opportunity. For many African countries, it is a land of opportunity. But for many African migrants, safety has never been guaranteed. And until the root causes are fully addressed, the question isn't whether it could happen again. The question would you be prepared if it does? Now, are you going to buy that ticket? What I'm about to tell you might just change your mind.